Welcome to my YouTube channel, Night Fright. This story was sent to me by Daniel. He said this incident happened to him during the pandemic when he was driving for Uber to make ends meet. Back in 2020, things were a mess. The pandemic had shut down my retail job, and I needed money fast, so I started driving for Uber. The hours were long. The people were interesting. You see everything on late-night shifts. Drunks, weirdos, couples fighting in the back seat. But none of it prepared me for that one October night. It was just after midnight. I had just dropped someone off at a hotel out near the edge of town. My app pinged almost instantly. New ride, pick up 6 minutes away at a bowling alley in some half-dead strip mall. His face was pale, calm, too calm. He didn't smell like alcohol, didn't seem high, just off. Like someone going through something, you know? Name said Derek. Sounded normal enough, so I accepted. When I pulled up, the whole area was quiet. Just those old yellow parking lot lights buzzing overhead, not a single car in sight. The bowling alley looked closed, dead, but there was this man standing under one of the lights. He wore a gray hoodie, jeans. Tall guy, maybe 6'2", hands in his pockets, head down, just standing there like he was staring at his shoes. I slowed down next to him and rolled down the passenger window. "You, Derek?" I asked. Some address I didn't recognize. About 20 minutes away in a quiet neighborhood I'd never driven through before. He didn't say anything at first. Then he nodded slowly, walked over, and got into the back seat without another word. I glanced at him in the mirror. I started the trip and asked if the destination in the app was right. "Yeah, that's right," he said. His voice was quiet, flat, like he was reading a grocery list. I drove. He stayed dead silent for the next 5 or 6 minutes. Not a single word. Just stared straight ahead, not at his phone, not out the window, just at the back of my head. Every time I checked the rearview mirror, there he was, watching. I tried to make small talk. "So, how's your night going?" He waited a few seconds before answering. "Just needed to get out of there," he said. I asked, "Out of where?" He shrugged. "Doesn't matter." So I didn't push. Right as I was about to pull onto the destination street, he leaned forward and said, "Actually, can you pull into that driveway?" It looked abandoned. We were getting close to the destination, winding into this older part of town where the houses are spread far apart. Big yards, no street lights, just trees and shadows. I looked where he pointed. There was a house on the right, dark, no lights, no cars, lawn completely overgrown, paint peeling off the walls. I asked, "Is this your place?" He just said, "Just pull in." My instincts were already screaming, but I didn't want to make a scene. I hesitated, but I pulled into the driveway. He didn't get out. "Everything all right?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. He stared at the front door. "Wait here." 2. Ride still active, but something felt wrong. Then he got out and walked around the side of the house, not to the front door, and disappeared into the dark. I waited. 1 minute. Fast. More like excited. Screw this. I ended the trip manually in the app and started backing out of the driveway. Before I could shift into reverse, he came walking back toward the car. His hands were empty, but his face looked different. Not angry, exactly. "I can't take you anywhere unless you add it." He opened the door and got back in. "Take me to the other place," he said. I turned around. "What other place?" "Just drive," he said. "I'll tell you." "No," I replied. "You need to put it in the app." Then finally he said, "Take me back to where you picked me up." He stared at me through the mirror. Didn't say anything. Just watched. "I'm serious," I told him. He didn't respond for a few seconds. At that point, I just wanted him out of the car, so I started heading back toward the strip mall. The whole way there, he didn't talk. but I could feel his eyes on me. Heavy, pressing. It made the air feel thick. I tried to break the tension. "Rough night?" I asked. "You could say that," he said. "You okay?" He said, "Not yet." When we got back to the strip mall, I parked under the same light where I'd first picked him up. I turned around to tell him the ride was over, but he leaned forward and asked, "You ever wonder how you're going to die?" I froze. I let out this awkward little laugh. Not really something I think about. He didn't smile. He didn't blink. "I think about it all the time," he said. Then he opened the door and got out. Didn't shut it right away. Just stood there, one foot still inside the car. Then he looked back at me and said, "You picked the wrong guy up tonight." And then he shut the door, walked into the dark, gone. I sat there frozen, heart pounding. Sat on the couch for an hour, just staring at nothing. Eventually, I drove home, locked the doors. Later that night, I checked the trip history. And that's when it got worse. No trip history. It was blank. Like it never happened. The ride didn't exist. The name, Derek, was gone. No profile pic. They said the trip beta wasn't available. Could be an app crash, they said. Could be a glitch. I contacted Uber support. But I know what I saw. I know I drove someone that night. I know what he said. "You picked the wrong guy up tonight." I never saw him again. And I hope I never do. This story was sent to me by a woman named Emily. She said this happened when she was a teenager living in her grandparents' old farmhouse in rural Indiana. They had a creaky old farmhouse surrounded by cornfields and silence, the kind of place where the floorboards remember every step and the wind always feels like it's whispering something. When I was 15, my mom got really sick and couldn't take care of me for a while, so I was sent to live with my grandparents. But there was one thing I never got used to, the noises that came from beneath the floor. It would always start beneath my bed and move to the far side of the room, as if someone were crawling underneath, dragging their body along the beams. I didn't mind it at first. My grandparents were kind, even if they were quiet, and the house had this sort of old charm to it. Every night, around 2 a.m., I'd hear it, a dull knocking sound, like someone tapping on wood, slow and rhythmic. The first night I heard it, I thought it was an animal, a raccoon maybe, or a possum. But when I mentioned it to my grandpa, he just paused, stared at the floor for a second, and said, "This house makes noise. Best not to worry about it." I pressed him a little. It sounded like knocking. He just nodded. "Yeah, it does that sometimes." A few days later, I found the door. It was in the hallway closet under the stairs, a little square cut out in the floorboards with a metal ring screwed into it. I'd never noticed it before, probably because there were always boxes stacked on top of it. I asked Grandma about it, full of cobwebs and insulation. Nothing worth poking around in. "Oh, that's just a crawl space," she said. I moved the boxes and pulled up the little door. It opened with a moan, revealing a dark, narrow crawl space no more than 3 feet high. The smell hit me immediately. Damp earth, mildew, and something else I couldn't name. Something sour. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. That night, when the knocking started again, I stared at my bedroom floor and felt this deep, gut-level unease. Like whatever was down, there wasn't an animal. The next day, when my grandparents were out grocery shopping, I grabbed a flashlight and shone it inside. There were pipes and wooden beams. Cracked insulation. Nothing out of the ordinary. At first. But then, near the far wall, I saw something. Claw marks. Long, deep gouges scratched into the wooden support beams. They were old. The wood around them was splintered and gray, but they weren't the animal scratches. These were deliberate, almost human. I felt cold all over. I shut the door and didn't open it again. That night, the knocking was louder. It didn't stop after a few minutes like before. It just kept going, moving across the floor beneath me, then stopping, then starting again, this time directly beneath the closet. I got up and opened the door to the hallway, and the air was wrong. Heavy. The house was too quiet. Then I heard it. Not a knock. A voice. Faint, muffled, like it was buried under the floorboards. It said my name, Emily, soft and drawn out, like someone whispering through clenched teeth. I didn't sleep at all that night. Just sat on the edge of the bed, clutching the flashlight, waiting for the sun to rise. I backed away from the closet door and slammed my bedroom shut. The next morning, I told my grandparents everything. They went quiet. Grandpa stood up slowly and said, "Your uncle used to say the same thing?" I blinked. Uncle Tom? Said he used to hear knocking at night. Said something was under the house. One day, he crawled down there. And when he came back up, he wouldn't speak. He nodded. He lived here when he was about your age. I didn't know what to say. What happened to him? Grandma said, "He's been in a home ever since." I begged my mom to let me come back early. After a few days, she agreed. I've never gone back to that farmhouse. I wanted to leave right then and there. But sometimes, even now, when I lie awake at night, I swear I can still hear it, knocking, under the floor. This story was sent to me by a guy named Marcus. He said this happened when he was living in a small town in Oregon, working the night shift for the county water department. I used to work night maintenance for the city's storm drain system. There was one big drain out there, an old concrete runoff tunnel, about 4 feet wide. Locals called it Devil's Pipe, though I never knew why. It looked like any other stormwater outlet to me. Not the sewers, just surface drains. Grates, runoff pipes, water flow sensors. It was mostly boring work, just checking things, logging them in the system, cleaning out debris. But it paid well, and I liked the quiet. One of my routes took me out near the edge of town, where the houses thin out and the roads are mostly gravel. Except for one thing. Every time I went out there, something felt off. Not wrong exactly, just cold, too quiet, like the trees were holding their breath. And sometimes I'd find things near the mouth of the drain, little things that made no sense. A single black boot, a child's stuffed bear, soaked through and rotting, and once, a broken doll head. No body, just the head, staring up at the trees. I used to laugh it off. Kids playing pranks. Trash washing in from somewhere upstream. But then came the night I saw her. It was close to 2 a.m. I was doing my rounds, headlamp on, clipboard in hand. I approached Devil's Pipe just like always, shining my light into the drain to check for obstructions. And that's when I saw her, crouched about 20 feet inside the tunnel, barely visible. A girl. She looked maybe 10 or 11, soaking wet, hair hanging over her face. I thought maybe she'd fallen in, or was hiding from something. I stepped closer. "Hey, are you okay?" No response. I could hear the water trickling through the drain, but that was it. No splashing, no movement. She just sat there, knees pulled up to her chest, face hidden behind her hair. I took another step forward. Her eyes were pitch black, not just the pupils, the entire eye. Like 2 gaping holes, and her mouth, it wasn't shaped right. It was stretched too wide. Her lips pulled back like they were stitched in a grin she couldn't close. "Do you need help? I can call someone." And then, without a word, she looked up. I still get chills thinking about it. I stepped back so fast, I almost slipped. Then she spoke, but her lips didn't move. She said, "You saw me." I bolted. I didn't care about the reports or protocol or anything. He just shrugged and said to stay away from the area for a few nights. I got in the truck and drove straight back to the service depot, Told my supervisor I'd seen a bear near the tunnel, but I couldn't sleep after that, because every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face again. Soaked hair, stretched grin, black eyes like holes. And a few days later, it got worse. I was showering at home, regular morning, nothing strange. But when I looked down at the drain under my feet, it was clogged. I bent down to clear it, and I saw her. Her face, right there, looking back at me through the metal grate, grinning from the darkness below. I screamed and leapt out of the shower, slipped and cracked my elbow on the counter. By the time I scrambled back, she was gone. I ripped the cover off, nothing underneath but pipe. But the smell, that same rotten smell from Devil's Pipe, it filled the bathroom. I haven't worked that route since. And I don't live in that house anymore either. But every once in a while, I hear water bubbling from the kitchen sink, or a strange gurgling from the toilet at 3 a.m. And when I do, I don't check, because I know she's still there, waiting.